Okay, welcome you all again. This is another part of this lecture of C programming. In this earlier lecture, we have seen through the various theoretical concepts that we have gone through uh, in detail about these various components, various concepts that we can need to use in present era of programming language, which was introduced by the C programming language. So in this lecture, I have just come up with a different order of ideas. Here we're going to see how to solve a particular piece of problem, especially the debugging based questions. Those are normally asked in placements, might be in competitive exams. Okay. So here we're going to see how to solve problems related to the function topic in C programming with the help of output based questions and some theoretical questions as well. Okay, so let's start our first problem. Let's identify what is the output of this code. Then we'll understand a couple of points while discussing a particular topic related to the C functions. Okay, so solving this kind of problem, my first suggestion for that students is that always start the execution of the file from the main method itself. Okay, don't look other part. Just start with the main, then we'll see the step-by-step process over here. Okay, so here you can see my program control start executing this C file. If we let us consider it as a C file, and here from the first line has declared a variable a as the value is 2. Okay, the value is 2. So let's draw the picture of RAM over here. Okay, so I'm just so that I can elaborate the concept, I have drawn a picture of RAM. Whenever a function get called by the operating system, at first the main method will be get called by the operating system. Some space in the RAM will be reserved for that function. Okay, so that function is here now main method. Space has been reserved. Now you have declared a variable here a whose type is integer, so it's going to consume 4 bytes of memory. Okay, from that particular block of main. Okay, and the variable a is there as integer and the value 2 has been assigned. So whenever whenever we have declared a variable or with the definition, without definition, that variable gets memory into the RAM. This is a picture of my RAM. Sorry. Next, what we did after that particular line, the function, a function is calling by that here from the main method. We're calling a function task and we're passing a value of a through the parameter of that function. So before calling this function, what compiler will check? Compiler will first check that particular function called task, which can accept an argument. This is called argument. Okay, which can accept an argument of type integer. If the type of a is integer, so which can accept an type integer is declared and defined or not. So compiler will first check that particular function is declared within the body of main or not. If it is not found, it will look for the space that before main and after the header files, the pre-processing statements. So here compiler has found that okay, there is a function has been declared. Its return type is void. Yes. So task function is not returning anything in this line. If you look at carefully, task function is not returning anything into this particular line. So that means return type should be void. It is fine. And the task function is accepting an argument a of type integer. So let us check its declaration. It has an argument type or not. So here compiler will check yes, there is an argument of type integer. So if you look at carefully, the most important point is here. Okay, most important point is here is that while you calling a function, that particular compiler going to be checked that the signature of the function, signature includes its return type, its name, and the list of parameter along with their types and number of parameters. So signature is matched, then compiler says okay, you'll get the green signal to call that particular function. So now if from the declaration it is clear, yes, task function is declared over here. Now let's see where it is defined. So if a function, particular function is normally we declare it before main, but the definition we put after the main. So here is the definition. So now program control will jump to the body of that particular function. So when program control is going to be jumped to that particular body of the function, a separate memory block is going to be allocated to that particular function that you called here, namely task. Okay. So now next, what you have passed to the task, you have passed the value of a. So this type of function is called function called by value. Call by value. Okay. Because you are calling the task function here and you're passing the value of a. We did not pass a, we passed the value of a here. So it is coming with the value 2. And here you can see in the parameter of the function, there is a variable is declared as part of the parameter. So we called it formal parameter of the function. Okay, let's write it, formal parameter. Okay, and that variable that we have used at the time of calling, and while you're passing the values, okay, while you're passing the values, this is called what? This is called our actual parameter of the function. Actual parameter. Okay, that's fine. So now what you are doing, you're calling that particular function. What is the value of a? Value of a, you can see from the RAM, the value of a is 2. So you pass that particular value. So now see, when that function call get generated and program control jump to the body of the function, a separate variable a is declared. But now this variable is declared within the function as a parameter. So this variable, second variable a, gets memory from the block which is reserved for the function fun. So now here you can see carefully in the RAM, now there is a two variables a is exist with the same name, but that not in under the same memory block. They are in two different memory blocks. One is belongs to the main method, which is called by the operating system. Another is belongs to the task method, which is called by the main function. Okay. So now separate memory block is allocated for the local variable a, which is the formal parameter of the function task. Now program control go inside the body of the function and it executes that particular line a equal to a plus 1. Okay, so what we'll do, the particular variable which is allocated the memory from the task is going to be updated by 1. So now its value is become 3. After the execution of that particular line, program control finds that this is an end of main method. Sorry, end of the task. There is no source line left in that particular body of task to need to be executed. So from that line, program control will jump to the same line of the main method from where it has come. It was earlier in the function, from where it was earlier jumped into the body of the function. So now it is going back to the same line. Fine. While it is going back to the same line of the function, returning from the body of the function, by that time, the memory which was reserved for the task function, it will be completely erased from the RAM. Completely erased from the RAM. So see that particular memory or that variable earlier that you have allocated or reserved certain space into the task memory block, that is completely erased. Nothing is available. So now after this function call, program control comes to the very next line. So what it will do, printf, if you look at carefully, it is printing the variable a here. Okay, so what is the value of a now? What is the value of a? So now if you look at carefully, in the RAM, only one copy of a is available, which is within the main method. Within the main method, correct? So always remember, if there is a local variable, this is what? This is our local variable. Okay, if there is a local variable inside that particular block and we are accessing any particular variable with the same name, then always local variable get preferred. Although there is no other variable with the name a exists in RAM. So if you look at the RAM, the value of a is 2. So this line going to be print the value 2. Okay, so if you ask me what is the output of this code, the output of this code is 2. I hope the idea is clear. Try this type of program more so that you can understand the program of function in C, how it is work, and how local variables and parameters are work, and how memory is allocated. Okay, so let's move to the next question that I have put into this presentation. Yes. Again, there is a question of find the output of that particular code. Let us see another function-based question over here. So always started execution from the main method. So main method get called, correct? And let's draw the picture of a RAM, and that particular area is reserved for whom? For the main method. Okay. So let's going inside now. Now see that a function name called foo is declared within the function main. If you remember the earlier function, if I just scroll up, that function was declared. Here you can see before main method. Function was declared, okay, before main method. Here you can see the second line of this code. Correct. So now we have changed it a little bit here. Now we have put the function call inside the main. So there will be no issue. We can declare the function inside the main as well as we can declare the function before main or inside any other local function. But the most important point is that definition of the function always be written outside of all the block. This is what? This is definition of the function. And this is what? This is called declaration. Next it will do what? It will just execute that particular line, printf1. So this line get printed a value 1, and there is a single space you can see. And thereafter, this particular line, it is calling the function. So while you calling the function, we no need to use the specify the return type. We simply specify the function name with the parenthesis. So now program control will jump to that particular function body. Now if you look at carefully, the declaration of the function, here we are using the void. Okay, here we are using the void. Void means what? Void means no return type. No return type. And look at the parenthesis here. Parenthesis empty. Okay, so empty parenthesis means what? No argument. No argument or parameter to the function. And void means what? Void means function will return nothing. No return value. Okay, so now let's see. Now once you call that function, we know what happened. The function program control will jump to the body of that function, and what it will do, it will allocate a memory for that particular function. So although there is no local variable or any parameter, no memory has been reserved for particular variable. So let's see the code written inside the foo body. You are printing a number here, printf2. So again, 2 get printed, and that there is a space after that 2. Once that particular line get executed, program control is going back to the same line from where it gets jumped inside the code of the function. But it is jumped back to that particular main method. Now that particular memory which was reserved for the function foo, it get erased from the RAM. So while it is going back, there is no more line left into the main method. So program execution stops here. So what is the output? This is the actual output: 1 space 2 and space. Yes, there is a space as well. Although only spaces cannot be visible. Okay, so very easy as compared to our previous source code. So let's move further to the next program. Okay, let's see. It is very interesting over here. Okay, so now we see started from the code execution from the code from the main method. Before I draw the picture of RAM, because there is no such variable exist, so no need to draw the picture of RAM. So see, very interesting fact in this first line. Earlier we have seen this kind of syntax for the variable, that in a same line we are declaring multiple variables. Okay, not only that, we have also seen that multiple variables can be initialized in the same line at the time of declaration. Okay, so now here I have used the same concept with the function. What I try to do, I am declaring two functions here. One is named f, another name is foo, and both return type is void. So let's see in GDB compiler and check this syntax. That is it a correct syntax or wrong? That can we declare two functions in the same line? Is it allowed in C programming or not? Okay, so now let's see the GDB compiler. Just remove the quotes. Now just write main method. Okay, let's try to declare two functions inside the main, f1 and f2. Let's compile. If it is see any error, that means this our syntax is correct. So let's run this code. Okay, now you can see into the console we did not get any error message. So that means it is allowed in C programming. We can declare two functions in one line. Either it is inside the main, either it is outside of the main. Okay, so let's go back to the code and discuss that particular function, particular source code. What will be the output? So in the very first line, what we did, we have we have declared two variable over here, correct? So now let's move forward. Here we have done what we call the function f. Okay, so let's jump to the body of the function f. It is jump to the body of the function f. While jumping to the body of the function f, it will simply check the signature. Here we are not returning anything, so return type should be void. Yes, return type is void, return type is void, and there is no parameter. So you can see there is no parameter, again there is no parameter. So signature is also matched here perfectly, there is no issue. Then program control goes inside the function of f and it's going to print that particular line. So it prints an output 1 and there is a space after that. And now you can see a little bit different, the same output of the previous code, but different way. Previously, we have print the 1 and 2, if you remember. Yes, 1 and 2, 1 from the main method and 2 from the function body. Now, instead of doing this, in this program, what I did, I just simply printing 1 and 2 from two different functions. So now see here, we have seen that foo is called here, foo is get called. Okay, foo is get called. So now from this point, it will go to the body of the function foo. Yes, it is gone over here. Again, there is no return, no return. So return type should be void, and there is no parameter. So there is no parameter as well. Fine, it is matched. So now program control will go inside the body of that function. So printf2, it will print 2 over here, and there is a space. Okay, after executing this line, program control will coming back to the same line from where it gets jumped. And after executing this function call, program control come here, it will go back to the main method again in the same line. So here, let us understand in detail what is the flow of that code. First, main method get called by whom? Main method get called by the operating system. Second, main method is calling the function f, and the function f is get called another function foo over here. Okay, so when you're discussing the function, there are always come two concepts: calling function or called function. Here you can see main method is called by the operating system using some module, definitely. So here operating system is calling whom? Main, and main is get called by operating system. So main will act as a called function called by OS, operating system. Similarly here, main is calling the function f. So f will be what? We're going to write it here. F called, mistake. Yes, f called by main. So here between main and f, okay, between main and f is what? F is called function. F is called function, and main is calling the f. So between these two, main will be become the calling function. Main will be the calling function. So now let's move to the next part. Yes, next part. Now here you can see this the relation. This is the two functions that we have here. Correct? Let's change the color. Yes. So now here foo is called. So foo will be what? Foo is the called function. Called function, and what is f? In between f and foo. Sorry, here f will be what? Now f will be the calling function. Okay, so I hope you understand the flow of calling and call function. So let's move forward to the next code. Yes. So again, the question is that what is the output of that particular code? So let's solve this. Now, before executing the main method, here you can see there is a global variable get declared. Correct. So global variable gets memory at the time of compilation. So now this is my main. This is my main method. Okay. In a RAM, main gets a memory. Fine. So now this global variable will be gets memory first. This is not part of the main, outside of main. Here you can see this is the memory result for main. So local variable x is get declared and it is initialized to 3. Okay, it is initialized to 3, correct? So see, totally separate memory block. Now program control comes to the main method. So memory is allocated to main method, and there is a variable which is declared as static. Sorry, there is another variable y which is declared as static. What is static here? Static is a storage class. Okay, static is what? Static is a storage class. So remember the most important point here. Static variable which might be declared inside a function or might be declared outside a function, they gets memory from a separate memory block. So now see, although a reserved memory block is there for the main method, but due to the nature of y that it is declared as static storage class, a separate memory block will be reserved for y. So here y is get declared in a separate memory block. This is for static local variable. Okay, belongs to whom? Belongs to main. So compiler will keep a track. This variable belongs to which block? Main block. This is the main block. Next point, whenever we declare a particular variable as a static storage class, look at here, there is no initialization. Static variables by default gets a value 0. It is initialized to 0 by the compiler by default. Next, what you have written x equal to 2. So now compiler will check first that x is declared in the area of main or not. So here you can see x is not declared in the memory of main. So it will look for the global variable is there or not. Yes, there is a global variable x. So now what it's going to do, the global variable x will be updated by update to 2 from 3 to 2. So here global variable is get updated from 3 to 2. Next, in the printf statement, what we are performing, we are doing an arithmetic addition. So what it will do, it will add the value of x with y and it get printed to this %d. So what is the value of x? So here you can check from the RAM. The value of x is 2 and value of y is 0. So if I sum it, it is 2. Then what is the output of this line? 2. Okay, and then return 0. Where it is returning? Returning the program control back to the operating system. Okay, so in this program that I have used here to discuss 2 points especially, you can see that first of all that global variable gets memory totally in the separate block. Then local variable is declared y as a static. It is also gets the separate memory block, although it is belongs to main method. Next, when you referring a particular variable, compiler always check that particular variable is present within his space or not. If not, it will refer the global variable. So it's referring the global variable here and updating the value of x from 3 to 2. And later we have just evaluate this arithmetic addition, we get the output. And most important point, a particular any static variable, it will always gets a default value 0 if you forget to miss the initialization. Here you have missed the initialization, so it will get the default value 0. Okay, so let me show it in the GDB compiler for the static variables. Okay, so let's make it static integer a. It is not initialized, correct? So I need to check the value. So we need a header file over here, hash include stdio.h. Fine. So now let's print the value of a. Printf %d a. So let's run this code. Now you can see the output into this particular screen. We get the output as 0. So that means a static variable always gets a default value 0 if it is not initialized. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so let's proceed now to the next program that I put in this presentation. Yes, again there is an output based question. Okay, let's solve this. What is the output of that code? So we start executing always from the main method. Fine. A function get called here ABC. ABC is returning nothing and there is no parameter. Okay, so here you can see from the declaration, void means no return with no parameter. Okay, so here you can see there is no parameter as well. Okay, so we are calling that particular function. Let's call that particular function ABC. So there are a couple of variables over there. One variable is there. So now let's allocate the memory block from the RAM to understand that particular code. At first, main method get called. So some memory has been reserved for main method. And then the ABC function get called. So some more memory has been reserved to the ABC function. Okay. So it is jumped to the body of the function. Inside the function, here we found there is a variable x is declared as a static. So as I discussed in the very last program, that whenever a variable is get declared as a static storage class, it gets a separate memory block, although it may be a local, although it may be a global. So here it is reserving a separate memory block for x in the RAM, and it is initialized to 0 because you did not initialize anything in this particular statement. So this is belongs to whom? This belongs to the static variable, static local variable, and this x is belongs to which function? X is belongs to the function ABC. So only this ABC can access this variable, not any other variable. It is belongs to ABC. Next, what you did? X equal to x plus 1. So here x is updated to 1. Okay, 0 plus 1, it's become 1. And then print a percentage dx. So what this line will print? This line will print the value of 1. So after executing that particular printf line, program control going back to the same line from where it gets jumped to the body of the function. While jumping back to the main method, what will happen in this case? Memory reserved for that particular function ABC will be erased, but most important point, but where x is static, so x will remain in memory till the execution of the file. Till the execution of file. So although here you can see, although our memory which was reserved earlier for the ABC, it is get erased because my program control get back to the main method, but this one is still remain in that RAM. Okay, still remain in the RAM. Which one? The static variable initial declaration part with the value 1 because it is updated due to this line. Okay. So now another important point is that whenever you declare a variable as a static storage class, please remember one very important point related to the static storage class. Variable declaration is only executed, okay, spelling mistake, just a minute, yes, executed, variable declaration is only executed once, if we declare that particular variable inside a function or where might be inside any particular block, declares a variable static, it will be considered executed only once the declaration. And another important point, the value of the static variable will remain into the RAM between the function calls. So see, between the functions call, I have erased that particular block which was reserved for ABC, but I did not delete the value for X. So X still remain as 1 when my program control goes back to the main method for the first function called ABC. Okay, so now let's proceed to the next part. Again, I found that in the second line, we are calling the function ABC. So program control jump it here again. So what did I written here? We have written that variable declaration, if it is declared as a static, is only executed once, the very first time. So here you can see this line is already executed by the function called ABC when I called it first time. Now I'm calling the first ABC second time. So that means now this line will not be considered by the compiler anymore because X is already get the memory in the RAM, it still exists in the RAM. Okay. So from the second line onwards, that line program will start executing. Again, x equal to x plus 1. So what it will do? We have the previous value 1, so now it's become 2. And printing the percentage dx, it will print 2 over here. So what is the output? This is the output of the code. Again, program control goes back to the main method. Although definitely memory will be reserved for the ABC again for the second function call. But that memory is not used for any particular variable, but it is remain. So while that function is calling back to the main method, due to the no line exists in the body for execution, that memory will be erased again. And now what will happen? Now my program control is here. That means there is no more line left. So now program control will erase everything. This one also, this one also. What is the output? This is the output of this particular code. Okay. So let's proceed to the next code. Okay, there's a very interesting fact here. Let us see. Again, we started the execution of the code from main method. So let's uh, draw a RAM over here. Okay, and this block is reserved for main method. Okay, we are declaring two variable here, a equal to 1, b equal to 2. So let's declare two variable here, a equal to 1 and b equal to 2. Okay, next see, look at carefully what we have done. Earlier we passing all the values, all the argument by value. Now we have mixed it here. We are passing an argument by value. A is passed by value, but B is not passed by value. B is passed by address. So in C programming, we called it passed by reference. Okay, here B has been passed to that function by reference, or we also called it by address. Okay, by address. So if you look at carefully the second line, the second parameter of the function, what we have written? We have written this task a comma address of b. This is what? This is address of operator. So let me write it properly. Yes, ampersand that we are using inside the scanf. So same operator we have used. So instant here, what is a will do? A will be replaced by its value 1, but we are not passing the value of b. Instead of value of b, we are passing the address of b. So right now we have no information regarding the address. We'll assume the address of b is 1000. We are just assuming address is an integer, and address of a we are assuming here, suppose 996, just arbitrary. So 4 byte distance between them. So I just keep maintain only this for understanding purpose. Okay, so whenever you find this symbol before a variable name as an argument to the function, that means that particular function pass the argument by reference or address. Okay, so let's solve now. Okay, next. So while it is passing the address, now look at the function declaration. In the function declaration, it tells that this function will return nothing because it is declared as void. But look at the parameter. This is a simple variable, but this is not simple variable. This is what? This is a pointer variable. This is pointer variable. Why? See, the pointer variable is very important. Why? The reason is that you passing the address of b. Okay, so when you pass the address of some variable to the function argument, on the opposite side, we need a pointer variable which can hold that address. Because if we pass 2, then a simple variable is okay. But here, instead of 2, we are passing 1000. So when you call that function, a separate memory block will be reserved for the function task. That is fine. Inside the task, there is a 2 parameter. X is a simple variable. Okay, X is a simple variable. And you're passing the value of a to X. The value 1 will come here. 1 will come here. But we talk about that but second argument, address of b, we are not passing 2, we are passing the address here. Okay, so there is a separate memory block belongs to y, which is declared as pointer. So instead of value of b, we are passing the address of b here. So now see, the value will be the address of b 1000. Because y is what? Here y is a pointer variable. Okay, pointer variable. So before I discuss this particular problem, let us see first what is pointer. So just stop this execution of our previous code. And now let me show you a simple way. Let's declare a simple variable here, a with the value 30, and we are declaring a pointer here. Okay, and assign the address of a. So now you can see what is the type of a. Type of a is integer. So we need a pointer. Read this statement. Ptr is what? Ptr is a pointer which can point the address of a variable, and that particular variable type should be integer. Yes. So I want to point out the address of a. So here for ptr base type is also integer. So these two should be matched. Here ptr is pointing whom? Ptr is pointing a because I initialize the ptr, so the address of a. So let's print the value of ptr here so that you can see what ptr is holding. So ptr is a pointer variable, correct? So we can use percentage %p as the format specifier to print a value of a pointer. Okay, and in the same line I'm also printing the address of a so that you can understand what ptr is holding. Run. Now see, same output. Second output is the address of a and first output is the value of ptr. So what is ptr? Value of ptr is address of a. So that means now ptr is pointing to the memory block of a. Okay, so I hope this idea is clear what pointer is going to do. Okay, so one difference is that very basic difference. When you declare a pointer variable, the name of the pointer identifier should be preceded with an asterisk sign. We call it pointer operator. But when you declare a simple variable, there is no asterisk symbol is required. Simple variable, just name. Okay. So now let's go back to the problem and solve this one. So this is the present scenario of this code. Next, what we have done, we are writing x equal to x plus 1. So x is a local variable, correct? X is a local variable. So this local variable x is updated to 2 now. X equal to x plus 1, so it's become 2. It's updated. Okay, it's updated for this line. Next, what you have written. Now see the most interesting fact. You have written value of y. So now it is called what? Value of operator. Value of operator. So what you are doing now? Value of y. So what y have? Y have the address 1000. Correct. So internally we are writing value at 1000. Okay. So what is value at 1000? Value at 1000 is 2. Correct. Which is referring the b. Correct. So what we want to do? We want to update the value at 1000 by how? By again value at 1000 plus 1. This is what? This is this. Correct. So now the value of y is 1000, so I put it here. So now let's see what is the value in 1000 address. The value in 1000 address is 2. Okay. So replace this statement with 2 and what you are doing? Plus 1. So this expression will give me what? 3. Where you want to put this 3? You want to put this 3 into the value of address 1000. You want to put this 3 in the address of 1000. So now through this pointer I am accessing that particular memory. So now it is updated to 3. So now see, earlier we have found that a variable which is declared inside the function fun, we cannot declared inside the variable task, function task, we cannot access anything from the main method in the outside of the block. Now we are accessing that particular variable b, okay, through its address by not its name, through its address. So here pointer makes it possible to access a local variable of main from the function task using the pointer and its address. Okay, so now if I going back to the main method from that particular line, what will happen? That this memory block which is reserved for the task will be erased. So now what left? We have the memory block belongs to main only. So what we are printing? We are printing a and b over here. Okay, so what is the value of a? Value of a is 1, and what is the value of b? Value of b is 3. So the output is 1, 3. This is the output. 1 and 3 is the output. Okay, so it is very interesting fact. Earlier we have seen that in the many examples we cannot able to access a particular variable of main method from function because that belongs to different memory block. Now from that memory block we are accessing a variable in the main block, use its address. A very interesting fact. Okay, so let's proceed to the next question. Okay, little bit large code, more line of code. So let us see what it will do. Now I think it is a concept of recursion. Recursion means function calling itself. As you can see, who is get called within its body. So function calling itself, it is called function recursion. So it is a problem of function recursion. Okay, function recursion. So let's solve this problem. Okay, let's start it from the main method. So we have the main method here. We had a separate memory block where a gets a value 2048. Okay, and sum gets a value 0. Okay, this is belongs to whom? This particular block belongs to the main method. Okay, next we are calling the function foo, who is not returning anything and has two arguments. So let's see the declaration. Okay, let's see the declaration. Yes, in the declaration you can see function is returning nothing and it has two arguments. One is type integer and another is of type integer as well. So that means you are satisfying the criteria. So what it will do, your program control will jump to the body of the function. So let's jump to the body of the function. Okay, let's just erase. Fine. So here you can see the function has been defined is above main method. So remember one point, when you define a function above main method or before main method, function declaration is optional. No need to declare the function. So here you can see that code is only have the definition, declaration is not there for function foo. So it is okay because it is done before the function main. Okay, so now it's going to the jump to the body of the function. So what are the value we have done? So now we are allocating memory for the function foo, and there is two variable, two parameter is there, n and sum. Okay, let's initialize them. N gets the value of a. What is the value of a? 2048. And sum gets the value of sum. What is the value of sum? Sum is 0. Okay, this is belongs to whom? This belongs to the function foo. Okay, next proceed. Next what we declare two more variable here. So in the function foo, we are declaring two more variable, k equal to 0 and j is also equal to 0. Done this one. Next we are checking a condition, n equal to 0. No, n is not equal to 0, n is 2048. Okay, so that means if condition is false, it's coming to the next line. So now look at very carefully. After the if block, we did not use any, after the if we did not use any curly blocks. So it means only the very next line is belongs to the if block. All other lines written after if, they are not belongs to the if, they are outside if. So now my if condition is become false. So now let's evaluate the lines that written after it. So now I am here. K equal to n modulus 10. Okay, what is n? N is 2048. This will give me what? This will give me the remainder. So if I do this 2048 modulus by 10, what we'll get? We'll get 8 as a remainder. We're updating the k. So now k is updated to 8. Next, j equal to n by 10. So what is n? N is 2048. So now what will be the j? J will get the quotient part. It will be 204. So j is updated to 204. This line is also executed. Now sum equal to sum plus k. So earlier sum is 0. 0 plus k 8. It's become 8 as well. Okay, this line is also executed. Now we are calling the function foo again. So let's solve this. Initially you did what? Here is my main method. From main we are calling the function foo, which what is the value that we pass? 2048 comma 0 of the sum. Correct. Next this foo is get call the function again, call the function foo. Now what is the value we are passing? We are passing j. So what is the value of j? Value of j is 204. And what is the value of sum? The value of sum is 8, as you can see. Correct. And if you look at carefully, after this function call, there is a printf statement as well. After this function call, there is a printf statement as well. So this is the scenario of my first function call. Correct. So this line is still remain, need to be executed. So this printf k need to be executed here as well. It is still not executed because from this point, program control going up and calling itself. So this line is still there, not executed. We'll see when this line will be executed. Okay. So now foo get called second times. What are the value that we have passed? We passed the value for n. This is my first function call. Correct. This is the first function call. Foo from the main. Now we are calling the second. The value of n is 204 and value of sum is 8. Okay, second time here. Now again you declared a variable k over here. K is 0 and j is also 0. Fine. Now again it is checking n equal to 0. No, n is 204. Okay, so condition fails. K equal to n modulus 10. So if I do n modulus 10, what is the value of k? K is updated to the 4. And now j equal to n by 10. What is n? N is 204, so it will become 20. Okay. Next, you are doing sum equal to sum plus k. So what is sum? Sum is 8. And what is k? K is 4. 8 plus 4, it's become 12. Okay. Now you are calling the function again third times. Third time. So now here you can see again this printf statement is not executed. It's remain left. Okay. So now it is calling the function again third time. Okay. So let's write foo over here. What value you are passing? J and sum. What is the value of sum? J? J is 20. And what is the value of sum? Sum is 12. Okay. So this is the second function call. Now let's just scroll up a little bit. Just a moment. Okay. Now let's just scroll up a little bit. Yes. So now call this function foo third time. So here is the third time. Again, n and sum is the parameter. So what is the value of n? Value of n we are passing here 20. So n equal to 20. What is the value of sum? We get the sum as 12. Next, again k is declared. K is 0. J is also 0. Fine. Now k equal to n modulus 10. So n modulus 10, we get what? We get no remainder 0. So nothing is updated 0. And now j equal to n by 10. So if we divide 20 by 10, it will become 2. And now sum equal to sum plus k. Sum was 12 earlier. Now k is 0. It will become 12. Remain as 12. Okay. And now again you are calling foo. So again there is a printf statement is not executed. Okay. Again the function foo get called. What are the values that you are passing? Now calling the foo again for fourth time. Okay, 4 times. What value? Value of j and sum. What is the value of j? J is 2. And what is sum? Sum is 12. Okay. Next. So now it's called the function fourth times. Fourth times. So what do we have here? Now n equal to 2 and sum equal to we have 12. Now next solve this. Okay. N equal to 2, sum equal to 12. Next. K is declared again. K equal to 0. And j is also equal to 0. Fine. Now again it is checking n equal to 0. No, n is 2. N is not equal to 0. N is 2. Correct. So condition fails. K equal to n modulus 10. What is n? N is 2. 2 modulus 10, it's become what? It's 2. K is updated to 2. J equal to n by 10. What is the value of j? J is 0. So 0 by 10, his answer is 0. No changed. 0. Okay. So now again what we did sum equal to sum plus k. What is sum? Sum is 12. So 12 plus k is 2. It's become 14. Now sum is become 14. Now again foo get called. Okay, so let's call the foo again. Here you can see again printf is missing. So now we get called what? We call the foo again. Okay, so let's call the foo. What are the value that you are passing? J and sum. What is the value of j? J is 0 and sum is 14. Okay. So again it's going to be called. Yes, it's get called the fifth times. Okay, so I'm drawing the picture here for the fifth times. N is 0 and sum is 14. Here you can see n is 0, sum is 14. So now again two variables get declared, k equal to 0 and j is also equal to 0. Now the condition. If n equal to 0, yes, n is equal to 0. Return. So this function call leads to return to the previous function call. So now it's returning to the previous function. Okay, it's returning to the previous function. So this is our previous function call, correct? So now see, now it will go up till the main because printf is missing to get print out. So what it will print? Printf k. So during the fourth function call of foo, what is the value of k? Value of k is 2. Value of k is 2. So this line will print 2 and it will go up to the next previous function call. So again, there is a printf statement is missing. So this is the third function call of foo. So check the third function call of foo. What is the value of k? Value of k was 0. So it will print 0. First it prints 2, then it prints 0. So again it is go up to the second function call. So here is our second function call. What is the value of k? Value of k is 4. Again, it will go back to the previous function call, first function call. What is the value of k? K is 8. And now it is going back to the main method. So nothing there in the main method. So what it is printing? 2048 it is printing. 2048 from this function, and it is going back to the main method. And main method, there should be a backslash n. Okay, backslash n is missing. Backslash n and the value of sum. So what is the value of sum? See, sum is the local variable of main. So always local variable get preferred because other sum is not exist anymore. Memory is erased. So the sum is get 0 over here. So 0 get printed. Okay, 0 get printed. You can type this code into the compiler and analyze this. Here is the complete flow of the code here. Okay. Let's proceed to the next code. Theoretical question. In C, parameters are always passed by values, passed by reference, non-pointer, no, passed by value result. It is always passed by values in C. Parameters are always passed by values by default. Okay. So now let's proceed. Identify the correct statement about this code. Correct statement. So here you can see inside the main method we are writing the name of the function main and we are printing %d. So one very important point regarding the function name. Here I'm using the main method. It can be user different function like foo-f that I explained earlier. The name of the function represents what the address of the function. Address of function. So what it will print? It is address of main function. It will print the address of main function. Okay. Next. Okay. What is true about this function? It is asking that what is true about this function. So let's see about this function here. First of all, here you can see function is declared before main. Sorry, defined before main. So declaration is not there. And again, here you can see function is get called. Okay, function is simple get called, but I did not pass the parameter. Definitely will pass the parameter, else there is a compile time error. Compiler will say function sum is not declared, have no parameter. It will say too few arguments. Okay, so not concentrate on this line. Question is about what is true about this function. So let's see the function definition carefully. That function is defined with the keyword extern. Okay, so one very important point regarding the function. Extern is a storage class, correct? So whenever a function is declared anywhere, it is declared, it is get the extern storage class by default. The function is by default extern. So writing an extern keyword here, it hardly make any sense. Neither it add any extra point. Okay, so somebody might thought due to the extern it is globally available. No, function is always available globally. Wrong statement. Extern means nothing. Sum is same without extern keyword. Yes, as I told, all the functions in C programming by default considered as extern. So writing extern and not writing extern hardly make any change. Okay. It is written third point function need not to be declared before it use. But if I shift it here, it need to be declared. So it is not always true. Function is made local to the file. No. Function is always available in any file in the project. So second statement is correct. The function by default extern. So no need to write the extern keyword before the function name. Okay. Next. What is the meaning of empty parameter list? Empty parameter list. See this declaration. There is no parameters. Okay. But when you call the function sum from the main method, we pass 3 values 4, 5, 6. So be remember this point is very, very important in function in C. Empty parameter means we can pass any number of arguments. We can pass any number of arguments while calling. While calling, I pass 3 arguments. Then to define it. So in the definition, I'm mentioning 3 parameters. So let me show you in the compiler. So here I am declaring a function, integer void, integer sum without any parameter, means we can call this function with any number of parameter according to the C standard. And now just I'm calling this function with 3 parameters. Okay, inside printf. Okay. Now let's define this function outside of main. Now we need 3 parameters. Okay, and we're returning an integer over here. Return sum of 3 values. Now run this code. Now see, we get the output. 3 plus 4 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 2. Okay, so that means in C, empty parameter list, we can pass any number of arguments. Okay, so function can only be called without any parameter. No, function can be called with any number of parameters. Yes. So let's proceed to the next code. Yes. Now it is saying what will happen if we delete line 1. Question is about what will happen if we delete this line. If we delete this line 1, that means no function declaration. Definition is written after main. So declaration is compulsory. Correct? Declaration is compulsory. Parameter type is double, return type is double, declaration is compulsory. So what is the what will happen if we delete this line? Compile time error. No compiler warning or error. No. Some compiler warnings not leading to the unintended result. No. Some compiler warnings due to the type mismatch eventually leading to the no compiler errors. If you miss the declaration, it will be compiler errors. Okay. So let me show you one important fact about the function. Now see, I am just deleting the declaration. Correct? I am deleting the declaration. Now I am compiling this code. Run this. See, we get the output and we also get the warning. But here return type is integer. You look at carefully, return type is integer. Correct? So let's change it to the double. So I'll make them double. Yes, I'm making them double. Double. And I'm also making them double. 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 Format specifier is changed. And now I have changing the return type to double. So now execute. This is the question. Correct? No declaration. Double parameter here you can see. Double type is argument. So what will happen in this case? Okay, let's see. Run. See, we get the warning here. Okay, we get the warning here. Some compiler will give you the warning and error as well. See, we get the warning because we have used here percentage %f as the format specifier. Okay, argument 2 is int. No, argument 2 is not int. Okay, it is a separate thing. But here you can see there is an error. It is saying that conflicting type of sum. Conflicting type. Conflicting means what? Conflicting means there was already something is existed. Okay, so remember one very important point regarding the function. If you miss the declaration of the function, compiler will be declared that function with a type integer by default. With a type integer by default. Okay, so that's why there is a conflicting. Foo is declared by the compiler as integer return type, integer argument, but you are calling the function with double and returning a double. So that's why it is saying conflicting. So other than integer, if you return anything from the function as double or parameter is double or float or character, it is compulsory that you need to declare that function. But if you're having a return value in integer, you can see our earlier code. If I just modify that code to integer, yes, everything is integer, correct? No, not yet. Yes, now everything is integer. And here, I had not declared the function, but if I run this code, see there is no error. No warning, I get the output. But instead, I changed it to double, that particular, okay, that thing in double. that thing in double, okay, then it is compulsory to declare that particular function. If you're not declaring, you will get a warning, you will get an error as well. Yes, in this case, if we delete this line 1, we'll get a compile time. Okay, so let's proceed next. Now select the correct statement. The question is about select the correct statement to swap values of x and y. Values of x and y. Okay, we want to swap the values of x and y. Correct. So now you can see swap x and y. It means what? There is a main method definitely, and inside main method there is a two variable. One is x have some value, and there is a y have some value. They are declared as integer. So the parameter is also integer, correct? And from the main method, you are calling the function swap. You are passing x and y because you can see the parameter is type value. Function it will call by value is the variable names only. So question is about select the correct statement to swap values of x and y. So remember one important point: these variables cannot be accessible from the function swap. So whatever the swapping you are done here, it is done within the local variable only. That means this swapping has been done within the values of this parameter only, not the variables present in the main method. So this function cannot be used to swapping the values of two variables, cannot be used. So see the third statement, swap xy cannot be used as it does not return any value. Or the fourth statement, swap xy cannot be used as parameter passed by value. Yes, we have passed the parameter here by value, where you can see by value. This is the correct statement. Values cannot be swapped. Okay, proceed next. Okay, now let's see this. Assuming that we have the header file as well, by mistake I forget to put the header file. Okay, next let's start executing from the main method. There's a two local variable I. Okay, they are not initialized. Okay, belongs to main I and j. There is another variable I in the for loop. So inside main we get a separate memory block for I for the for loop. I equal to 0. Okay, fine. You are checking the condition 0 less than equal to 4. Yes, 0 is less than equal to 4. Fine. Condition true. Go inside. J equal to the function we get called and pass the value of I. So there is a separate memory block belongs to the function. Yes. So function is get called over here. What will you are passing? We are passing I. So this line is written inside the for loop. So you are passing this I. Correct? Okay. Fine. Okay. So here you can see in the for loop I equal to 0 get declared. So this is the value 0. Now we have passed the value 0 to that function. Okay. So the function in the function there is a I get value 0. Static integer count. So there is a static variable, separate memory block. Static local variable. What is count? Yeah, count is the variable. What is the initial value? 0. Now count equal to count plus I. What is the value of I? Value of I is 0. So 0 plus 0, right? 0 plus 0, it's hardly make any sense over here. 0 makes 0, it will be 0. And you're returning the value count here. So you're returning to the value count to j. What is the value of j now? 0 after first function. So this is the current scenario we have. Let's erase. Okay, next. Next, I plus plus. Due to the I plus plus, I become 1. So now we are checking the condition 1 less than equal to 4. Yes, it is true. Now we're calling the function again. Calling the function again to pass the value of I. Value of I is 1. So again, this memory is allocated and this get the value I, local variable I as 1. So this is static. Declaration will not execute it second time onwards, only first time. So count holding the previous value is 0. Count equal to count plus I. What is I? I is, you can see the local variable I. I is 1. So 0 plus 1, it's become 1. Returning count. Count is returning. Okay, count is returning here to j. What is the j now? J is become 1. J is become 1. Okay, now erase this function call again. Now again I plus plus. I is 1, so I become 2. What you are comparing now? 2 less than equal to 4. It is true. Going inside. Calling the function with the value of I. What is I? I is 2. It is 2 now. Count equal to count plus I. So it's become 3. Returning count. J is become 3 now. Okay. Again I plus plus, so I become 3. We are now comparing 3 less than equal to 4. Again it is true. Going inside. We are calling the function again. Now with the value of I, what is I? I is 3. So now it gets 3. Count equal to count plus I. What is count? Count is 3. 3 plus 3 is become 6. A returning count. So J gets update to 6. Okay. Now again I plus plus, so I become 4. So now we are comparing 4 less than equal to 4. Let's erase. Sorry. Okay. So now we are comparing 4 less than equal to 4. It is true. So you're passing the value of 4 into the bracket, into the parameter of the function. So you're calling the function with the value 4. So now I is get the value 4. Get the value 4 over here. Count equal to count plus I. Count is already 6. Now I'm doing count equal to count plus I. It's become 10. Now returning count to the J. So now J become 10. And now I plus plus, so I become 5. So now we are comparing 5 less than equal to 5. Sorry, 5 less than equal to 4. It is false. It is coming outside of the loop. Printf percentage dj. What is the value of J? J is 10. So this line will print 10. Okay, so this is a demonstration of static storage class. As I discussed earlier, static variable only get initialized once. So that you can see it first time gets the value 0. Next time onwards is holding its previous value. So I'm simply returning the value and adding the value of this parameter with this count each and every time. Right? Let's proceed to the next. Yes, little bit complex one because we are using here lots of the pointers. This is a pointer, this is a pointer. Let's see now. Start from the main method. Right? Main has 3 variables. So let's declare 3 variables. A with the value 4, B with the value 5, and C with the value 6. Okay. Now I'm calling the function f1. So let's see where is f1. There it is f1. What value we are passing? We are passing 4 and we are passing 5. So now function f1. This is our main method, correct? This is main. Now function f1. F1 has 2 parameters A and B. So what is the value of A? With the pass 4, and what is the value of B? The value 5. Next, C. C is also declared here, but not initialized. C equal to A. C equal to, next we have written C equal to A. So 4 has been given here as well. A equal to B. So it is going here. 5. And B equal to C. So it is going here. Okay. B equal to C. Fine. This is the scenario of F1. Nothing has been done in the main method. Correct. There is no more line left. So it is coming back to the main function. Now it is calling the second function F. So it's calling the second function F. So this memory is erased. Now second function F2 is there. Now see, instead of we passing the value, now we're passing the address of B and C. So let's take some address over here. Suppose this is 1000. This will be 1004. This will be 1008 because integer is 4 bytes. So I'm just calculating that byte only. I'm assuming that this is the address of 3 variables. Address in main method. Address in main method. So what do you pass? We pass in F2. Okay, the address of B. Okay. So in F2 there is a 2 parameter. One is pointer A. And there is a pointer B as well. A and B. Correct. So what we are passing? We are passing the address of B. What is the address of B? 1004. Next we are passing what? Address of C. So what is the address of C? Address of C is 1008. 1008. Let's go to the function. A simple variable is declared C over here. So let's declare a variable C. Next, what we are writing? C equal to value of A. So what we are writing? We are writing C equal to value at A. What is A? A is a pointer. What is the value of that pointer? 1004. So what is 1004? The address of B. So now what we are saying? We are saying what is the value at this address? in the main. The address is 5, correct? The value is 5. So what is C now? C is become 5. Next. Now what we have written? We have written this. A equal to B. What is this? This is B. Pointer B. What is the value of pointer B? 1008 is the address. So what is 1008? 1008 is pointing here, correct? The address of C. So what is the value at 1008? 6. So what now it is replacing with 6. Where it is going to be put? Asterisk A. What is A? A is a pointer. What is the value of A? Here 1004, correct? So what we are doing? This 1004. So what is 1004? If you look at carefully, 1004 is the address of B in main method. So what we are putting here? We are putting 6. So now it is updated to 6. Okay, this is also executed. Next, we have written this, correct? So what is C? C is the local variable of the function f1. So what is the local variable here? Local variable C is 5. And what is B? B is a pointer. So what its value? 1008. 1008. Correct? 1008. So what is 1008? 1008 is this. So what we are doing? We are placing the value 5 over it. So it will be updated to 5. Correct? So now this line get executed, function get executed, it's coming back to the main method. Now what we're doing? Printf percentage d C minus A minus B. So now belongs to main method. So everything is gone, only main method. C, what is the value of C? 5. What is the value of A? 4. What is the value of B? Is 6. So this is a subtraction. Okay, so follow left to right. This is 1, then minus 6, minus 5. So what this line will print? Minus 5. Okay, a little bit complicated. Repeat this explanation more time to understand how pointer is works. Let's see next. 5 more question. Okay, now see what happened. What will open while this code is executed? What will happen? Okay, so it says what will happen, not open. What will happen while this code is executed? Okay, let's see from the main method. In the main method, we have just mentioned the function name. Function name. As I told you earlier, function name means its address only. It does not mean the calling. Calling means along with the name, you need to use the parenthesis. If there is any parameter, pass the parameter. But I am not using the parenthesis here. Okay, I simply mentioned what? I simply mentioned the function name in the first line of main. Name of the function. So nothing will happen. This line will be executed, get the address only. So there is no output because my program control remain in the main. There is no printf statement. So it will result in compile error. No, it will not result compile error. No compile error and some garbage below. No, there is no garbage below. No printf statement inside the main. No compile error, but foo function won't be executed. Yes, foo function won't be executed. Correct. Because we did not call the foo, simply mention its name. So the program would not print anything. This would not print anything. This is the correct option. Let's proceed. Okay. Another recursion function calling itself. Here you can see function calling itself. So we can understand the recursion more better way. So let's solve this problem. Started from the main method. So here is my main method. Okay, main method passing some values, calling the function f with the value 20 and 1. Okay, just call the function first times. First, so I'm writing it here. First time it is called. It has two parameters. One is n, another is k. So what value we have passed? We have passed 20 and 1. Okay, here you can see 20 and 1. 20 and we passed. Next, we are checking if n equal to 0. No, n is not equal to 0. Going to the else. N modulus 2. What is n? N is 20. Correct? 20 modulus 2, it is 0. 0 means false. So this else is also not executed. Coming to the last else. So it is saying that return f. Okay, so see what happened. So this function call, when I call this function first time, it generates another function call. Okay, it generates what? Another function call. So what it is look like now? F n by 2. What is n? N is 20. 20 by 2 is become 10, comma 2 into k. What is k? K is 1. So 2 into k is become 2. 2. Okay, and what left? This line is left. This is the complete line, correct? Now this line is executed. So it generates a function call, correct? So this function call, once this function call get executed first time, what we have? We are in the else part. So this is the line we have, correct? This is the line we have. So what we have here, let's now write it again. Okay, let's write it again. First time we call the function here. First time we call the function f with what value? 20 and 1. Okay. This function call get executed. Finally, it comes to the else part. Right? And it's this function call is now executing this statement. It's generate this statement. Okay, what is the statement? Statement is here f n by 2, 2 into k minus k. Right? So now next. So next, what is the value of n? Earlier it is 20. So it's generate the function call here. There is a 2 parameter, correct? The 2 argument. This is the argument, this is the argument for the subtraction. Function call is higher in precedence. So it generates another function call. N by 2, so n become 10. 2 into k, k is 1, so it's become 2. Another function call, right? So this part is executed. Now minus k is left. So we'll see later. So it's now it is generating another function call. Right? So second function call now. Second time it's calling. What is the value now? N equal to 20, n equal to 10, sorry, and k equal to 2. Okay, k equal to 2. Next, this is our first function call, and this is our second function. So now checking n equal to 0. No, n equal to is 10. Okay, so it is false. N modulus 2 equal to 2. 10 modulus 2 is, so it is 0. Remainder is 0, so it is again false. So now it's coming to the else part again. So this will also generates what? A function call statement in else n by 2. So earlier n is 10, so n by 2 is now become 5. And 2 into k, so 2 into k is 2, where you can see 2 into 2 is become 4 minus k. Correct? Minus k. Got it? So this was the value of k, the second parameter, where you can check. We'll use these values later. Okay, so now again it generate another function, third time. Okay, so let's write it here, third time. Let's write it here. There is less space, third time we are calling. So what is the value that we have now? 5 and 4. So what is the value of n? Third time we are calling. N equal to 5 and k equal to 4. Correct? So now we are checking 5 equal to 0. No, again it is false. 5 modulus 2. 5 modulus 2 is what? 1. So that it becomes now true. It's become now true. So it's executing this line. Return. So it's writing a statement over here. Correct? So what is the value of n? N is equal to 5 and k is equal to 4. Correct? This is the third function call. So we are calling the function here f with the value 5, 4. Okay. So now it is coming to this line n by 2. So 5 by 2 it's become 2 comma 2 comma what? 2 comma 2 into k. What is k? K is 4. So 2 into 4 it's become 8. Right? Let this. It generates another function called correct. So it's coming again, it's calling now fourth time. First time it's called here. Second time it's got called here. Third time, this is the value of k, correct? This is the value of k. This is the value of k. Got it? Okay, so now this k is here again. Now it is plus k. Now it is coming here, it is plus. Correct. So now with 2 and h. So now let's see further. Let's generate another function call. So now fourth time, let's put it here. Fourth time we are calling. What value we are passing? 2, 8. 2, 8. So what is the value of n? N equal to 2. What is the value of k? K is 8. Okay, now again. 2 equal to 0? No, 2 is not equal to 0. Not executed. Else if 2 modulus 2 equal to 0, yes, it is equal to 0. So it is not executed. Now the else part is coming. Now what we are doing? F of n by 2. F of n by 2. So what f is here? N by 2, n is 2. 2 by 2 is become 1. And 2 into k, k is become 8 into 2, 16. Now minus k. Correct? Fourth time done. Now we are calling the function fifth time with the value 1 and 16. Fifth time. So I'm writing it here. There is no space. Fifth time. N equal to 1 and k equal to 16. So now let's check. 1 equal to 0? No, 1 is not equal to 0. 1 modulus 2. 1 modulus 2 is 1. It is true. So it generates me another function call. So I'm writing it here. F n by 2. 1 by 2 is what? 1 by 2 is 0. Comma 2 into k. K is 16. So it's become 32. And plus k. Okay, plus k, correct? So this is the value of k. I'm calling the function fifth times. This is the fifth times. So now it generates another function called sixth times. So I'm writing it here, the sixth times. 0 and 32. So n equal to 0 and k equal to 32. So now I'm checking again. 0 equal to 0. Yes, now it is true. Return 0. So from this line, we get a return value to this its previous function call. Okay, when I call the function 6 times with the value 0 and 32, what we get? We get here return 0. So it's returning to the previous function, right? 0. So this function call will be replaced by the return value 0. And the k in fifth time. What is the value of k in fifth time? 16. 16. So let's put it 16. Okay. 0 plus 16. Now it is a return statement, correct? If you see the return statement. 0 plus 16 is 16. So it is returning to the previous function call. There it is coming. So this function call get replaced the value 16. Minus k. Calling the function fourth time. What is the value of k? K is 8. So 16 minus 8, it's become 8. So this 8 is returned to the previous function call. 8. Plus k. What is the value of k at third time? 4. It's become 12. Correct? It's become 12. So this 12 is returning to the previous function call. So this function call is replaced by 12. What we are doing? 12 minus k. What is the value of k at second time? 2. So 12 minus 2 is become 10. So now this value will be returned to its previous function call. So it is become now 10. 10 minus k. What is the value of k at first time? 1. So 10 minus 1, it is 9. So where it will return? It will return to the main method. Correct? So what this line will print? This line will print 9. Okay, see this again and again to understand this flow. Let's move to the next question. Okay. Select the correct option for function call. Okay, there is the empty line is there in the main. Then it is want to call the function f with the current function call. Okay, so there will be no issue. Fine. So if I put this one, what will happen? If I put this one, I am passing the value of s. What is s? S is 12. And I'm passing here. Again, I have written asterisk s. What is s? S is a simple variable, not a pointer. So we cannot use this operator before a simple variable name. So it is not allowed. Error. Next. I equal to f of I comma s. So if you look at the function f is void. That means no return type. But we are expecting a return type I, what is the type of I? I is integer. So that means again there is an error. Next, fi, it is void, fine. I, so let's put it. What is I? I is value 100. It is an integer. Comma. You are using asterisk of s. What is s? S is a simple variable. So you cannot use pointer operator before a simple variable name. Error. Now, fourth one. Let's evaluate this. Fi. What is the value of I? I is 100. It is integer. And now you are writing asterisk of p. What is p? Now see, p is a pointer which is pointing a variable of type short. So now it is absolutely correct. So what is star p? If you look at value at p, value p is pointing. If you look at here carefully, p is pointing the variable s. P is pointing the variable s. Correct. So that means what is the type of s? Type of s is short. So we are passing its value 12. What its type? Short. And it is not returning anything, that means void. So now let's see the declaration of the function. Return type is void, returning nothing, correct. Function name is f, correct. First argument is integer, second argument is short. So this is the correct answer. So you can place this function call here. So your code will get executed. Okay, this is the question. What we can place in this empty line out of this 4 options. Now find the output of this code. It's very interesting. Here using function, while loop, and operators also. Let us see. We are calling the function printf. Instead of printf, we are calling the function func. Okay, so let's do. So we are passing the value to the num of the function. Is num is get initialized with 435. Correct. Next. Count equal to 0, so there is a variable count 0 inside the function fun. While num, yes, num is a positive number, so it is true. Count plus plus, so counts become 1. Now you are writing num equal to num right shift by 1. So I hope you remember right shift. What it will do? It will divide by 2. How many times? Only 1 times. So if I divide the num by 2. 435 divided by 2, what we will get? 21 and 7, 217. So now num is updated to 217. Correct. So it will go up. While num, what is num? Num is 217. No problem. That is fine. If it is true, go inside. Count plus plus. So count become 1 to 2. Again num, this operation. What is the value of num now? The value of num is 217. So now 217 divided by 2, what we'll get? 10 and 178. 108. So now what is the value of num? Value of num is 108. So again it is going up. While 108 true, count plus plus, so count becomes 3. Again right shift. So again the value is 108. Okay, so now divided by 2, what we'll get? 54. Going up. It's become 54. 54 is true, count plus plus, so count becomes 4. Again it is divided by 2. So now if I divide it by 2, because of right shift, it's become 27. It is going up again. It will check 27. Yes, 27 is true. Going inside, count plus plus, count becomes 5. Again right shift operation, 27 divided by 2, it's become 13. Okay, got it. So now again it will be go up with the value 13 while now 13. So 13 is true. Count plus plus is become 6. Again it is divided by 2 because of right shift operation. So it's become 6. 6. It is going up. 6 is true. Count plus plus. Count becomes 7. Now 6 divided by 2 it's become 3. It will go up. Again it is with 3. It is go up. It is true. Count become 8. Divided by 2. If I divide by 2 I get 1. Okay, I get it 1. Fine. So now it will go with 1. While 1 is true, count plus plus, it's become 9. And then now you're doing 1 by 2. 1 by 2 is 0. So let's go up while 0 becomes false. So now what is the value of count? Value of count is 9. So return 9. So it's returning the value here 9. So 9. So what it will print? 9 will print. Output 9. So let's proceed. What is the output of this code? Again, there's a static concept. Same concept we're going to fill it here. We are calling the function f with 1, correct? So value of n equal to 1 is not static, it is a non-static variable. Static variable get declared I equal to 1, it is static, fine, separate memory. 1 greater than equal to 5, it's become false. 1 is not greater than equal to 5. Correct? So first time we are calling with f1 is now executing. 1 greater than equal to 5 is false. So return is not executed. N equal to n plus I. So n plus I is 1. It's become 2. I plus plus I also become 2. Now we are calling f of n. So we are calling f of n here. What is the value of n? 2. Okay, again we are coming here. Static declaration only one times, not the second time onwards. It will not be executed. 2 greater than equal to 5. It is false. N equal to n plus I. So what is I? I is 2. 2 plus 2, it's become 4. I plus plus, so I become 3. Return again f of n. So we are calling f of n. What is n? N is 4. Again declaration not executed. 4 greater than equal to 5 false. N equal to n plus I. So n is 4. Okay. What is I? I is 3. So 4 plus 3 is become 7. I plus plus, so I become 4. Again we are calling the function with 7, f of n. Value of n is 7. Going up and check 7 greater than equal to 5. Is it true? Yes, it is true. Okay, so if it is true, so now return n. So while I returning it, it will return from the whole function. There is no more statement left for execution. Okay, so this function call returns the value 7 to this function call. So it's coming from the return. Here you can see. So return statement now get executed, returning the value to the previous function call. So again, there is a return statement. So now 7, it is returning to the previous function call. Return to whom it is returning? Returning to the main. Okay, so it's print me here 7 as the functional recursion. We have discussed a couple of problem functional recursion. Now let's proceed. I hope this is the last one. Yes. So now let's see the next program. Here you can see inside the main method we have used the extern keyword. Extern means this variable is declared here, defined somewhere else, and it has an external linkage and it will be accessed by anywhere of the any part of the code. Until present in the RAM till the execution of the project. It gets the project. Correct. Here it is only one file, so you can consider it is files. This variable is declared as extern, but extern variable doesn't get memory at the very first time when extern keyword is used. It means it is defined somewhere else. Extern means defined somewhere else. So let's proceed. Inside this block, there is a local variable x. So x is get declared. Now it is auto. Because no storage class is mentioned, it will be auto. Value is 12. Now program control coming outside of this local block. So this is erased, not available anymore. Calling the function change. So it's jump to the function change. Inside change, that extend keyword is used again for declaration of the X. So now this X and this X has a linkage. It will look for the definition. It will define somewhere else. So here you can see outside of all that variable X has been defined. Integer X, it is declared. Now X gets memory. X gets memory. Now initially it is garbage. Garbage, no value. But it gets memory here due to this line. Extend means declared here, defined somewhere else. Correct? So here is also, we get it. If we look at carefully, 2 times we have used extend here, 2 times. One is here, n is here. So they have linked to each other and it is defined outside of all blocks, integer X. So here is the memory. Now X equal to 100. So it is get updated to 100. Now program control return back to the main method. Printf %dx. So which X the extend variable is now considering, because local X is already removed from the RAM when I came out from that block. What is the value of X? X is 100. So what this line will print? Sorry. So I hope this video will help you to understand that how MCQ can be solved in the competitive exam. It might be in your university exam. Okay, so see that static storage class, recursions, many problem I have discussed. I hope you will enjoy that particular discussion, and I'll give the link of that particular PPT. Okay, I'll provide the link of that particular set of questions in the description of the video. Okay, so do not forget to follow us. We are available in one click away for the mail. We are available in the Facebook with the name of the page Learn Programming, and we are also available in the YouTube with the channel Learn Programming. Okay, so don't forget to like us. I'll provide that set of questions to you. You can check the video and record the answer to be ready for the exam, any kind of exam. Okay, thank you very much.